Anyway, now that Richard's told you what you could put in this Mensch fellow sitting there, and he's writing on a Air Canada napkin. He's writing down part numbers, Tandy part numbers. He's writing them down.
26 something or other.
Yeah, he's writing
the
down.
26 series was the computer.
He's writing down all these complicated parts numbers for a Xenix motor, a Motorola 68,000 board, multi-terminal board, which I think was 2 terminals you could have. Yep. No, 3 terminals. They took 3 terminals.
The machine, the Radio Shack Model 2 had 2 extra serial terminal ports on the back, and then you could add a 3-terminal board.
3-terminal board. That's
so
it.
You could
three
make it a
terminal board.
6-user system.
That's right. But the next one, the Model B, you could make a 12-terminal system.
That's right.
Okay, so there's an extra board for 3 terminals, Motorola 68,000 chip. There was enough room that you could put in another 512K memory, two 256 boards. He's writing down these part numbers, telling me how I can do it, how it will take my script set and all this stuff, be multi-terminal, and I can have. And then the real kicker was that I could do something else with them called ArcNet. And this is all written down. And I would give anything for that piece of paper again. If I had it, it would be just, I have no idea where it is. So there'll be someplace in one of my boxes where we threw it out today in the cleanup. Anyway, making a long story short, so I come back to Vancouver, and I go down to Park Royal, the Radio Shack store in Park Royal, that is a Radio Shack store selling Red Flyer engines and hats with blinkers and stuff on them. And over in the corner, there's this corner there with computers, Tandy computers, and a fellow named Cliff Friesen.
Cliff Friesen.
And Cliff was we got to look Cliff up one of these days.
Yes.
He was so much.
Cliff, if you're listening, for God's sake, phone.
Yeah. So I go to Cliff and I say, I want to buy this stuff. And he goes to his book. They don't exist. He phones Barrie, Ontario. Is that Barrie? Yeah.
Barrie, Ontario was the head
Gives
office
them all
in Canada.
these parts numbers. They don't have them. Somehow or other, we ended up completely, Cliff, give him credit. He phones Fort Worth,
Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas, and he explains how he's the manager of a Radio Shack computer store in West Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And he has a client with a bunch of part numbers, and they can't find them in Canada. And nobody there, and finally they get hold of somebody who demands to know how he has these part numbers. He's explaining how this man, and remember, you got to remember, 81, 82, 83, I was famous.
Yes.
I was really famous. 87% of the population in Vancouver knew who I was. And I had, whatever you want to call it, the ability to ask for just about anything anywhere. So this fellow, Rich Cliff, really wanted to look after me. And I had 700 offices at the time scattered around the world, scattered around 30 states and 4 provinces and 4 countries. So seems hard to remember, but that we did. So, and I ended up buying a lot of equipment. Anyway, making a long story short, this guy gets on, and so then he wants to talk to me. How did you get these part numbers? And I said, well, a fellow gave them to me on the airplane. He says, who? It was a fellow named Bill Gates. Because Bill Gates...
Who the hell is Bill Gates?
Well, he knew who Bill Gates was. Bill Gates, the president and founder of Microsoft, was the one that developed Xenix. And with Radio Shack, he worked to build this machine. And it was because of him that these extra card slots, because they spent 3 or 4 years putting it together. And there was one other piece to this puzzle, and that was that machine over there that you get, because that machine was personally designed for Bill Gates. Because he wanted
Microsoft Basic in it.
He wanted
that's the
what
first
became
notebook computer.
The first notebook computer. It was for him.
Yep.
And I mean, I get little. Actually, even though I'm not a computer nerd, right? I'm not a techie. I was a user. And this is the first one that was, and it was done for Bill Gates so that he could log on. And